Well, hello. So, welcome to Take What Rings True. This site is a site for spiritual thoughts, and today I'm going to be talking about Heaven's Temple of Mystical Travelers and Mission Life Entities. So, um, I had difficulty with my streaming service again. I think the universe is trying to tell me it's time to switch. I believe I need to go to another service because every week there's some other glitch. So I'll figure that out later. Right now, I want to talk to you about the Temple of Mystical Travelers and Mission Life Entities. Now, I am hoping that this is on my Take What Rings True on YouTube. Otherwise, it may be on my master page, which I'll have to end up switching over. So, my name is Teresa Micheletti. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I want to talk to you about first some background information about entities. Hey, Kathleen. Entities. So, on the other side, spirits talk about entities being either positive or negative. So there can be dark entities, and I know a lot of people use the word entity only for dark. However, there are positive entities, and this is one case where entities are used as a generic term to mean like people is a generic term. Entities are spirits, and they can be positive or negative. So, just as background information, because I'm not talking about dark entities today. I am talking about positive entities and wonderful entities. So this temple is on the other side, obviously, because I'm talking about heavenly temples. And this temple has a Romanesque look about it, but it's very small because people don't spend a lot of time there, or spirits don't spend a lot of time there. It's Romanesque. It has silvery columns and a door. And the silvery door enters, and you see walls that sort of emanate a silvery light. I think of this temple more like a union station. Mission life entities and mystical travelers come into this temple to get assignments, but don't spend a lot of time there. And what do I mean by assignments? Well, the purpose of a mission life entity is to do a mission for God. And not everyone is a mission life entity. And they take on a mantle and a responsibility to help people on earth to do something, to get a better life, to feel better, actually just to make people's lives better in some way. They could be researchers, they could be teachers, they could be unknown people, they could be most any kind of a career, but they're just helping people in some way. They could have no fame at all. For instance, they could be war heroes nobody's ever heard about. It could be Luther King was a mission life entity. Mother Teresa was a mission life entity. Abraham Lincoln was a mission life entity. They come to Earth to do something. They have an assignment. They have a special mission that they want to accomplish. And it's a mission assigned by God. So you have to agree that you would be doing missions for God. And then you go into this temple. It's like, okay, I have my regular chart. And then I'm putting the mission life entity onto my chart. And you add that in because everything sort of works around whatever your mission is. Hi, Carol. Hi, Deb. Yay, people actually found me. Okay. So mission life entities accept special missions. Now, sometimes you would not know that they're a mission life entity. For instance, Della Reese was a mission life entity. She was an entertainer, a singer. I loved her voice. And she was on this show called something with angels, about angels. Anyway, what made her a mission life entity is not only did she show this wonderful personality as an actor on this program about angels, but that was her true self. She was full of integrity and righteousness and was an example of how to live. And she not only portrayed that angel, but she also was wonderful humanitarian. All right, so mission life entities. Another famous one was Jonas Salk, the person who brought in the polio vaccine. So mystical travelers are the other role that you can choose in life. And mystical travelers are like a bump beyond mission life entities, because if you want to be a mystical traveler, you take on that role for eternity. It's not just for one life, it's for eternity. So you need to actually be committed to that role for eternity. And the thing about mystical travelers is they have a regular life chart. However, they can have their life turn on a dime. Just you were going this path, and all of a sudden you are totally going in another direction. Because Sylvia Brown's spirit guide, Francine, described it as they are the green berets for God. So if God needs something done somewhere, anywhere in the universe, then that person may be called. So say you have 5 lives planned to come to Earth. And you go to the first life, you go to the second life, and then all of a sudden God knows. God says, I need you in Andromeda now. Go now. And then you go to Andromeda and do whatever it is. You could just drop into that life and drop out. For instance, Quetzalcoatl, famous god in Mexico, was really a mystical traveler. It was really a spirit that would drop into Mexico and help, and then go back out, drop in, go back out. So mystical travelers don't necessarily have an entire life on Earth, although if you come to Earth now and you're a mystical traveler, most likely you are here for the whole lifetime. But it's possible to come in and go out. So you have your 2 lives that you've done, you go to Andromeda, you come back, you do your 3rd life, 4th life, 5th life. But you could get, quote, interrupted or repathed because you got a fax from God that said something needed to be done, and you have given your will up to God, and you do what needs to be done. And it can be anywhere in the universe. So if you're on your last life on Earth, then probably you go into the other side and you learn things and you go to classes and you go to concerts and all that stuff. But if it's your last life on Earth, you don't have to do anything beyond that because you've completed your mission that you wanted to accomplish for lifetimes on Earth. But if you're a mystical traveler, then even though you're sort of retired from lifetimes on Earth, you may still be sent somewhere else because you are the Green Beret for God. And you go and do whatever is needed. So mystical travelers have like a chart beyond the regular chart. For psychics to read them because they can only read the regular Akashic records, the regular life chart, and there's a chart beyond that that's the mystical traveler. So if you are a mystical traveler, the only person who can really read your charts is another mystical traveler, because they can access a different set of Akashic records, which are the mystical traveler Akashic records kept on Nuvo, which I don't think I've talked about Nuvo yet, but anyway, it's beyond. We all of us have choices to become a mystical traveler. And visiting this temple can give you more insight into becoming a mission life entity or a mystical traveler or not. So Francine, the spirit guide I was talking about, reported that some people have gone to visit this temple to try and decide 40 or 50 times and still have not decided whether they want to take on being a mission life entity or they want to take on being a mystical traveler. And that's okay. You don't have to decide. There's an eternity. You do not have to decide. You never have to be one. It's a goal that's collected by some people. They call it a mantle. When you become a mystical traveler, a mantle falls on you or becomes part of you. So you take an oath, and there's a ceremony you go through, and a mantle comes over you. So if you never become a mystical traveler, God will love you anyway, because God loves you unconditionally. You do not need to become a mission life entity. You do not need to become a mystical traveler, but it's an opportunity. And that opportunity floats above your chart every single lifetime. And at the end of your life, that's when people usually choose to become a mystical traveler or not. Spirit guides tell us that at the end of Princess Diana's life, she decided she wanted to become a mystical traveler. So you make that decision, you find out about it, and you can visit the temple anytime you want. But the time when you make the decision is during a lifetime, usually at the end of that life. And then that's when you go through the ceremony. So you can become a mystical traveler in training. You say you visited the temple, you found out about mystical travelers, and you decided, okay, I would like to be one for eternity. It's not a small decision. Then you're like a mystical traveler in training. And that's okay too. And then at the end of the life, you would go through the ceremony, and then start your missions for God. So you could consider visiting this temple because it gives you insight into those optional roles of mission life entity and mystical traveler. Now, if you are a mission life entity or you are a mystical traveler, you don't spend a whole lot of time in that temple. You go in to the temple and it's like, okay, God needs 3 mystical travelers to go to the Pleiades because blah, 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 blah. Or you're tapped on the shoulder and said, okay, I need you to go because you've been on that planet before, or whatever. So when you go to this temple, it uplifts you because you feel the presence of God. You feel supported. It's like you have the love of God. The angels are there, and you feel the presence and the joy that the angels are filling you with. So you feel rather wonderful just visiting the temple. You don't have to decide anything. You can just go and feel the environment, feel the feeling of being there. Now, there are some perks of being a mystical traveler. The highs are high in life, but you also have lower lows, higher highs, lower lows. But the lows don't last as long. And a lot of the negativity of life just goes away. The little irritations, it's like it's so not important to you. It just like, okay, fine, that person is just not a really high vibration person. I don't have to pay attention to them. And it just washes away from you. So I don't know if I don't think I've talked about this. So I'll go into more detail on another time about mystical travelers and mission life entities. So if you visit this temple, you will find that you feel wonderful. Now, you may feel a little anxious if you're trying to decide, should I become a mystical traveler? Should I become a mission life entity? And that's okay too, because the wondering is all right. And that's part of life. That's part of being in the universe. It's part of being with God, being with our fellow travelers on the journey of life. So God loves you unconditionally, whether you take on one of those roles or not. So it's not like a hierarchy. It's not like, oh, if I'm a mission life entity, I'm just better than you. And if I'm a mystical traveler, oh, that's one notch up. No. It's just like extra credit school. you're taking extra credit, but that doesn't make you better than the person who decided not to take extra credit. You're getting your PhD. Okay, that's okay, but that doesn't mean you're better than the person who just went through high school. It's just a different experience. And since we were created, I believe, and according to spirit guides, to experience for God and to experience for ourselves and become more evolved, more knowledgeable, more full of information that we can share with each other. But we still are not going to know all of the knowledge that God has. But we can strive to learn more and more. And however much you decide is your full cup, then that's fine. I remember Francine one time saying, we all have our goals. And some people just want a thimble full of knowledge. And some people want a giant bucket of knowledge. And either one is fine. God has created the person who wants the thimble as being content with the thimble. And the people who want the big bucket, then God has created them to strive to learn more, to understand more, to gather more knowledge. And God loves both of them because he created both of them. That's my personal opinion. Well, the part about the thimble and the bucket is Francine, the spirit guide, talking to us during trance classes. So consider visiting the temple so you'll feel better and maybe get an insight into mission life entities and mystical travelers. And I know you know some of them. So, okay. So I want to thank you guys for being with me. Deanna and Vicky, yay. And Mario. Hi, Mario. Some of us actually went to trance classes together. All right. So next week, I will talk more about the changes that are coming. I only got one question about changes, and it may be because my link was faulty on some of the posts. So if you have questions, you can put them in chat, or I will repost the link to give me questions to to channel on to add to the information that I already have for what's coming up on changes in the world as we move towards the shift, the fifth dimension. Oh, I was there last night. I was visiting the fifth dimension. I was doing some work with some people, and I ended up channeling up to the fifth dimension, which is just very peaceful, very loving, even though it's not completely formed, the new dimension's not completely formed, it's still a feeling of unity, a feeling of a breath of fresh air, like everything's going to be okay. So look forward to that because it's a wonderful feeling being there. All right. Thank you. And I will see you hopefully next week on Wednesday. And I'm going to check my YouTube and see which place it went to. And if it did not go to Take What Rings True, I will take that video and move it over. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Bye. Okay, how do we end this one? End stream.